Hi there, this is Josh from Literary Gladiators, and today I'm here with a book review. The book that I'm going to be reviewing is Mystery Walk by Robert R. McCammon. This is the third work of McCammon's that I've read, and his second novel that I've read. The first novel of McCammon's that I read was Boy's Life back in 2019, which I read for a discussion on our channel, and I thought it was fantastic. The first thing I read from him is a short story of his called Eat Me, which I read in Zombies Encounters with the Hungry Dead, and we discussed that short story back in season 7. Mystery Walk was published in 1983. This was for some time the oldest book of McCammon's that he recognized, since for a period of time he felt that his first four novels were not of as great quality. But within the last decade, he has since started to publish them again and has recognized them once again. And I think that's the right decision, because I feel that it is up to the individual reader to decide their thoughts on a particular work. But as for this work itself, I thought it was very good, and I think it does a great job interweaving McCammon's ability to weave the supernatural with reality and leave readers wondering whether or not something within the text could happen, or if it was just part of the illusion. But Mystery Walk follows Billy Creekmore, who lives in Hawthorne, Alabama. Billy is 25% Choctaw. His mother's 50% Choctaw, and his grandmother is 100% Choctaw. Billy lives with his parents, Ramona and John, and he has the ability to sense death. His father is a devout Christian and a member of the KKK, which creates an immediate flaw right there. And he also does some questionable acts, but he does care very much for his wife and son, and means well when it comes to his disposition toward them. However, he does surround himself with questionable people. For instance, we see that right away with his friend Dave Booker, because Dave Booker is an abusive spouse and father. Billy's friends with the kids, but shortly after they visit their house, they meet a deadly conclusion, and Billy is drawn to their house, which he's told to stay away from, but he goes there anyhow, and when he sees what feels like a possessed Will crying for help, Billy runs out and is terrified to the point that he needs additional help. That his mother in particular seeks out for him, because they don't want the father knowing that he went into the house. But on the contrary, there is Wayne Falconer, who his father, Jimmy Jed Falconer, is a renowned preacher in Hawthorne, Alabama. Wayne Falconer has the ability to heal people and rid them of their demons, which he first demonstrates when his dog is involved in an accident, and it leaves him deformed and on death's door. But Wayne is able to heal his dog, and while the dog remains deformed, he is able to function like nothing ever happened. So they go to a service that Jimmy Jed Falconer starts, but the main show is that Wayne is going to rid anybody that has problems or demons. He's going to rid them of them. And Billy tries to rid himself of the demons that he picked up in the Booker house, and that that doesn't lead to good places, and it creates a, a solid divide between what Billy Creekmore and Wayne Falconer stand for. But at the same time, characters like Wayne are multidimensional. They are by no means perfect. They are perfectly flawed, if anything, because Wayne does question his abilities, how he can use them, what the rules really are, and he's challenged throughout the book. Billy is also challenged throughout the book, which the mystery walk makes up part of his challenge, and that, in a way, is him coming to realizations on his own, and what the meaning of life is. His grandmother possesses a great sense of wisdom. I think that the Choctaw characters do just that in this piece. But at the same time, they are constantly being brought down by the prejudice that comes with the general society and what they value, and how their hatred and the passing on of this hatred is the true toxin of, and the true horror of, this society. His grandmother Rebecca has perhaps the best quote within this piece. As per page 117, she tells him that the god of the Choctaws, he also gives gifts of talent, Billy, to use for his good. Some people can paint beautiful pictures, some can make sweet music, others work with their hands, and some with their wits. But in all people is the seed of talent, to do something of value in this world, and doing that, perfecting that talent, making the seed grow to good fruit, should be the aim of this life. That sticks out more than anything as far as what I picked up on this is concerned, because I feel that everybody has something to offer to this world. It doesn't matter who you are, what your background is, what your circumstance is. Everybody has a talent of some kind, and the ability to use that talent to make the world better for every living being is the purpose in which we should all live. And we should see that among everybody. And I think that Billy does his best to abide by that, even when he's surrounded by people that are putting him down simply because of who he is. You have this great sense of prejudice that comes from generations, because even though you can't say it is always the case, in many, many cases, prejudice is passed on from generation to generation, where parental figures, if a parent demonstrates that prejudice is okay, then there's a very good chance that their child is going to follow their example. You see that with the Laytons. That's probably the clearest, most solid example. You can see that with the Falconers, but that's a little bit more questionable because uh, Wayne does question his circumstance, and uh, some of the characters they don't necessarily stay that way, but that doesn't necessarily matter because when you engage in such detrimental, uh, powerful actions, be them positive or negative, in this case, they were negative, uh, they have a long-lasting impact, and it doesn't matter if the conclusion is of good or of bad, of positive or negative. If the protagonist is better off or worse off, a detrimental experience is still very life-altering, and it leaves an impact on them. And I think that that is an underbelly that McCammon very much reminds us of. The way that he writes, he also reminds us that not everything is going to be concluded or tied up. He does anything that can be concluded and tied up, he does so, but it's not always the way it is. And I really admire Robert McCammon's honesty. I think that he is a very underrated writer. I think that even though he does not like to be classified under any given genre, he's often classified as a horror writer. And I think that what Stephen King does with Maine, that's what Robert McCammon does to the southern states. The two books that I've read of his were set in Alabama, but I believe Gone South is set in Louisiana, but I do think that he writes where he knows and in that period of time, because he really does capture the moment well. And I could definitely see that within Mystery Walk. I think that it was a little bit stronger in Boy's Life, the way that time was depicted, and the way that character interaction and pacing was executed and how things were visited. But I still really think that this was a strong and thought-provoking piece that really examined the flaws of humanity, and that the greatest horror in this piece was not the supernatural, but the hatred that leads to violent and deadly conclusions. Another thing that this doesn't necessarily indirectly touch upon, but the whole idea that the need to belong with a larger group of people, regardless as to what they think, but just belonging for the sake of belonging, that sense of groupthink, is a very dangerous thing. Be it with the artificial approaches brought upon by the Falconers, or the what the KKK stands for. This is just pure pressure at its worst, and that in itself also leads to the realities of horror. I think that there is moments that could be viewed as supernatural per se, but I think that, like Boy's Life, they have a lot of real-world explanations to them, and I think that that makes things even more horrifying. I gave this book 4.5 out of 5 stars, and I highly encourage people to check out this novel. I think that Robert McCammon's novels are definitely worth the exploration. I really think that he is one of the best and most underrated writers within his realm. I think that all kinds of readers, anybody that likes the speculative genres, is going to get something out of McCammon. And I think that a book like Boy's Life or Mystery Walk is a good book to read. And I think that where people have read a lot of Stephen King and Dean Koontz, I think that more people should be reading Robert McCammon. But I also think that McCammon has a very solid group of followers that I have come across through my reading expeditions, and that I think that there is strong reason to see why people really admire what McCammon has put forth throughout his career. Thank you for tuning into this video. I hope you check out some more videos from our channel. If you like what you see, please subscribe so that you can watch more videos of ours. Leave our video a good ol' like, and if you want to talk about this book a little bit more, feel free to do so in the comments. And if you really, really like what we do, I highly encourage you to support us on our Patreon, for the money that we make will allow us to provide you, the viewer, with even more great content. Thank you, and for now, keep reading.